Right, here we are on the 7th day of the cruise. It's getting harder to count, but I think I'm still on track. So, what is there to say about the 7th day? Well, today we ported somewhere. I don't recall the name. It wasn't a simple name like Cadiz, and it wasn't a notable place like Lisbon. So that makes it difficult to remember, but we went somewhere, and this is in, mainland Spain. So what's there to say about this place? Well, there's nothing much really, except one thing, and that was the main thing we looked at, and that was some ruins, a Roman theatre. So, apparently this place was kind of well, I don't know if I'd go as far as a shanty town, but basically a place where, poor people lived, in the town. And I don't know how this occurred. I didn't bother reading the information all the way through, but apparently they built this part of the town over the ruins of this Roman theatre, and I guess forgot they did that. I don't know how you do that. You'd think at least someone would have written it down, even if it was in a time when most people couldn't read. But apparently what happened was around in the 1980s, someone figured out that there were Roman ruins there, or something, and then they just smashed away all the houses, and then preserved the theatre. So, he went and looked at this theatre. They had the kind of, well, here's the interesting, what it did is basically had a kind of a building you went into, and, you had a tour. You had those audio tour guides. We didn't get any of them. Yeah, okay. Now, here's a tangent to go off on. Audio tour guides. Here's a problem with them. I mentioned this before with the cathedral one, I think. But even if it's something you're interested in, they throw a lot of information in there with the audio guide, and the nature of them means you can't set your own pace. Usually when you're learning these things, you say reading them in a book, or someone who knows about it is talking to you about it, or something like that. But something where you can set your own pace, and you can't do that with audio guides. This was like my lectures at uni. I'm naturally a slow-minded person in many respects, and so lectures, the information would just kind of fly by me, and I couldn't, like when I'm watching a YouTube video, if something goes past me, I pause and I rewind, and what the hell is this? Your footsteps seem to have gone. Anyway, yeah, so when I'm watching a YouTube video and some information goes past me, I pause, I rewind, and then I watch it again, and it's all good. Can't do that in lectures, and you can't... actually, maybe you can do it in audio guides. Well, it's very inconvenient, at any rate. So that just kind of makes it difficult. And, the result of this was, my brother felt the same way, so he just said, no, we're not having audio guides. He just kind of talked to the person and said, no, we don't want audio guides. They cost extra anyway. So instead we just kind of, because you have this building before you go to the ruins of the theatre, and they have various, artifacts they've picked up. And so rather than have an audio guide, you just kind of read the panels. They're there in English and Spanish. That was information enough. So you go and you read the ruins. There wasn't anything particularly, no other ruins, just some columns, a ruined statue, nothing that much. Then you go out to the actual theatre. They do an interesting thing with the theatre where they've, obviously, it's in ruins, the stones have eroded and stuff like that. But certain aspects have been rebuilt, like the stage they've got a wooden floor for the stage. They've remade some of the steps. All the benches are still you know, I guess authentic, you could say. But yeah, some aspects of rebuilt to it. I mean, my mum was speculating that they're going to try and, you know, sort of recreate the theatre in respect and then actually use it to have plays. I mean, I don't know if that's what they're doing, but it's an interesting idea at any rate. So yeah, that was the theatre. Other than that, what anything else notable? I mean, went and got lunch. Nothing to say there. Just had lunch. Some more bones. Bones on fish. Honestly, debone that stuff. Paying for your service, don't give me bones. Anyway, and then we're kind of walking around, speculating what to do. We were near the ship, and then suddenly it rained, and it rained heavily. I mean, you know, really heavily. I guess it might be one of those things where, you know, this is the south of Spain. It's really hot, and I would imagine it doesn't rain very often. And of course, what happens in a lot of places is that if it doesn't rain often, when there is the rare instance where it does rain, it rains really heavy. I mean, where I'm from, Australia, this is indeed an occurrence. So, you know, it starts raining really heavily, and then there was a choice had to be made. Either, you know, just bolt the ship or wait it out. My mother, my sister, and I took the former option, and my brother and my dad took the latter option. So, you know, we're just hauling ourselves back to the ship, and whilst my dad and my brother hide under the shade of a Burger King, you know, they seem to have made the wiser decision, because it wasn't that long before the rain fell to more acceptable levels, whereas, you know, I got back completely drenched. So that kind of cut our visit short. I mean, we were going to leave in another 2 hours anyway. So that's not much to say. Yeah, again, this wasn't a very eventful day. I ended up just playing some more Crusader Kings. Actually, this is another tangent I'm going to go on. So in my game Crusader Kings, now I'm playing a character who at this point is in his 60s, and, you know, and he takes a new wife who's about, well, by the point where he's in his 60s, she's about 20. And, you know, these days that would be considered very weird, and for the most part, I guess, unacceptable for various reasons. And obviously it's one of the cases where it was acceptable at the time, I think, but it's not today. But I'm intrigued by another case where the person my character married is his 5th cousin once removed, something like that. And it's just a point I've been, you know, it's made me wonder, like, because when you look back at, you know, family trees and stuff, and do some simple maths, all of humanity is related to each other. Everyone is some sort of cousin to you, you know, whether it be first cousin or 50th cousin. So, and, you know, marrying your first cousin is not considered acceptable. But obviously marrying your 50th cousin would be, because for all intents and purposes they're not your family. But it just made me think, where does the line end? I mean, what about your 5th cousin? Is that acceptable? Where do you draw the line? That's just something that's puzzled me, you know, as I was playing as Uzbek Khan. You know, I just had to wonder why, like, you know, if you encounter someone in real life and you don't know they're your 5th cousin, and then you find, you know, you've not known them in any family sort of way, but then you find out they're your 5th cousin. Do you call off relations there? I don't know. It's food for thought. But anyway, so I did that. I ended up playing blackjack with my parents. Not much to say there. It was a bit of a time killer. Then we started playing this game, another card game called 500, which is a bit more complicated than blackjack. Basically, my parents were trying to teach me the rules. And yeah, there's another thing. When it comes to games, kind of physical games, so card games, board games, role-playing games, I'm very bad at learning the rules, because learning the rules to things, I always just find them really boring. I mean, the games themselves can be fun, but I'm just bad at learning rules, because I just find the whole process of learning rules just not fun. So, I'm a very slow learner in that regard, but when I try to explain the rules, I sort of got it. Some things were escaping me, but yeah, so I learned that. And then, had dinner. Nothing much to say. It was all Hawaiian shirts. The way he's wearing Hawaiian shirts. That was... I approved of that. It was a nice change of things. Added some more flavor to it. I guess it'd be one of those things where if I'd heard about it, just like someone mentioning the concept to me, I don't think I'd be too favorable, but when I was actually there, it's a bit like the Gibraltar apes. Didn't think it was a good idea, just hearing about it, but then when I actually experiencing it, I'm thinking, you know what? Yeah, this is good. I like this. So yeah, that's all I have to say. We're at 11 minutes now, so I've gone on too long, as always. But again, whoever you are, thank you for watching.